Well guys, this is the 817 here with the CCKA on it with the bad muffler. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a kind of a little refresh to this motor. And in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the whole intake manifold off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the valves on the motor. I'm going to rebuild the carburetor. I'm going to put my new exhaust on it. I'm going to put all new gaskets on the carburetor, on the intake manifold, on the exhaust. And hopefully this CCKA will be purring like a kitten after that. Right now it kind of roars like a lion. It's so loud. And the main problem is that the whole end of the muffler here is gone. So this thing is loud, man. Real loud. It's just, I got a broken off stud here and a manifold over here, and the other side they're not broken, but that's what I need to fix here is this mess. So in order to do this, all I got to do is there's two bolts that hold the manifold into the motor. So I got to undo those two bolts. I need to unhook the fuel line here from the carburetor, and I need to unhook this fuel line temporarily that feeds the fuel pump, just so that I can get the manifold out. And I also need to unhook a couple wires that go to my GM HDI ignition module that's on this machine. And that's not really a big deal, but I got basically this wire here on my ignition module. What I think I'll do with the ignition is I'll just take this nut out, or bolt out rather, and I'll just leave the ignition module here. I won't have to take that off with the manifold. So that's what I'm going to do here, and we're going to try to get this thing running good again before the winter, because this is my main snowplow tractor down here at the office. And yeah, this is pretty funny, this exhaust here, but it's not only is this end cap broken off, but evidently this should be more or less welded into the pipe there, and it's not. So pretty much this thing is shot, which is kind of funny, but so that's what we're going to do. We'll see if we can get it off. Yeah, so I'm sitting here taking this stuff apart, and I just dropped the extension, the engine down to the ratchet down this hole. Check this out. Dope. Yep, that's it. There's a 3/8 extension down there, about 3 inches long, with a 1/2 inch socket on it. So yeah, that's cool. Let's see if we can get that out. But so I've got my linkages disconnected here. The problem I've run into now is that I have two wires that go over the top of this manifold here. So I may end up having to cut these wires. Oh, well, that's cool. Look at this wire. It has like a connection on there. That goes to the stator, by the way. Like there was a wire nut on there and the nut fell off. So that one should be easy to connect. This other one here actually clamps onto my ballast resistor here, so I can just undo that screw and pull that wire off real easy. And for those of you guys that don't know the history of this machine, the ballast resistor is to run my GM HEI ignition module here, which replaced my original Onan coil. So once I get those two wires out of the way, the only other thing in my way is just unhooking this choke cable, which is no big deal. I got my fuel lines unhooked here, so we'll see if we can fish it out. Alright guys, I got my manifold assembly off here, and now for those of you that have never worked on Onan, it's real simple. The valves are right here. So all I got to do is take these valve covers off here, and I can adjust the valve clearances in there. Again, with my new install, I'm going to have some new gaskets to put on here, which will be great on both sides. These gaskets really aren't that bad. They were new maybe about 6 or 8 years ago when I had first gotten this motor going. I had to put new gaskets on the manifold. Back then it was only running on one cylinder because the manifold was a little bit loose. So yeah, the other valve cover's right here, so that's how you adjust your valves. yeah, that's pretty much it. You got your fuel pump here. Your points are in this box up here. This fuel pump I rebuilt a few years ago. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with this fuel pump. Someday if it craps out, I'm going to put a brakes pump on here and drop this one. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this manifold home to my home workshop and see if we can get these rusty bolts out of the exhaust. That's the first step. And the hole inside of the muffler just fell out on the floor. That's cool. And we'll take this carb off here and we'll rebuild the carb. I got a new float valve for the carb. That's like the needle valve, if you will. And I also have new gasket for it. And we're going to adjust the float level. I suspect that the float level in this carb was wrong the whole time I've had it. I can't get this tractor to ever run unless it has the choke on a little bit. So hopefully when we're done here, we'll have a carb that works perfectly with the choke off, and we'll go from there. Someday we'll get to these other projects like the 46L and the 424, which needs that engine put in it. And before we put that engine in the 424, it needs the whole transmission dissected and all the carnage gears taken out. Behind me we got the 812 here with the 38-inch blower on it. And I got to come over here and put my dog eater on my C10A. Take that 40-inch blower off. Dog eater's right here. And back here I have a machine that's going to be a project. I'm building a 14-horse Kohler for that walk behind there. That thing's going to be mint. And yeah, so we'll keep you in touch about this Onan, and you know, we'll be in good shape, guys. All right. Till next time. Well, guys, I was trying to be careful and get those bolts out, and I had one broken off to begin with, and now I have 3 new broken off ones, but they do have a little bit of a stub hanging out, so I'm hoping that I can heat them up now and maybe use my vice grips on them and get them out. But damn, huh? Can't catch a break, huh? This one here is the one that was broken off to begin with, and that one's real bad, so I don't know that I'm going to get that out. But these here are sticking up, so I have some promise. And on my 450 exhaust, I was able to get them out like this. It was a lot easier to heat them without the muffler on there like this and get them really hot. And I was able to get them out a lot easier. So we'll give it a shot, see what happens. Well, I figured I'd try my Oxy map gas torch, and I really never think this works any better than just my regular map gas. But nonetheless, we're going to give it a shot on here and see if it won't do a little better than standard map gas. Well, we'll see if this does any better than the regular map does, but what I like to do is get this really hot and then shoot a little PB blaster into the stud while it's hot and let it draw right into the threads. I can see the cast iron getting a little orange down there, so that's a good sign. It means it's getting hotter than it was with the regular torch, I'll tell you that. But we'll heat it up and see what happens. Let's see, guys. I got a big old glob of weld on these things. Ooh, either I'm snapping the bolt off or it's working. One or the other. I guess we'll find out in a minute. I think I'm snapping the bolt off. Yep. Broke that weld right off. Well, we can try again, I guess, right? Let's see what happens on this one. Oh, that didn't stick either. Well, I tried, huh? Well, let's try this little dick one. Yep, that didn't do shit. Oh well. Well, I'm kind of defeated, guys. I've welded nuts on there 4 or 5 times. They just snap right off. I can't really get a good penetration on the weld. It just puts like a glob on the top, and then that's it. It's done. So that's not working too well. Yeah, so I'm kind of screwed here. I notice how bad this area is here, how the surface is so screwed up because it wasn't bolted down there for a long time. It's all degraded. That really needs to be like milled down flat again. I'm thinking that the easiest solution to this problem is finding a used manifold here. So I'm going to give my buddy Boomer an email and see if he's got any information for me here, and we'll go from there.